My name is Aziz. I go by HAX within the competitive Melee community. I'm from New York City, Manhattan, New York, and I've been playing this game for 12, almost 13 years now.
So I know that you've been playing on and off for a long time. You often have to take a break because you have trouble with your wrists or your hand.
Yeah.
Recently, I know you took a break. How does it feel like coming back?
Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty right now. I basically incurred a bit of finger strain pretty recently, earlier this year. So I had to take a few months off of Melee. So right now I'm a bit rusty. I think the biggest thing that's rusty is actually my tournament mentality. That's honestly the biggest thing that kind of you lose if you take this long of a break from the game. So I mostly came here today just to get that back in shape where it needs to be.
Do you see yourself competing in more events coming up, or are you kind of going to show up here and there, or do you really want to get back into the competitive scene?
No, I mean I made this new ergonomic controller that I play on with the intentions of becoming a top player again. So I do plan on going to whatever is available to me. Fortunately, issues with my controller being legal are starting to clear up now that I publicize exactly what it does. Even national tournaments are starting to be accepting of me using the box. So I think it brings a lot to the game because I'm not the only one with hand problems. So I'm glad that in my absence I was able to give this to the community.
How do you think you can compete against some of the players that have been playing this whole time, like Mango or Leffen, Armada, players like that?
Well, right now I'm no match for the players who you just named, but towards the end of last year, which was probably around when I was peaking with my skill on this controller, I did manage to secure rank 45 on Melee at Onme's official top 100. I was starting to look pretty good around then before I unfortunately had to take a mini hiatus. Now I don't think I'm 45th anymore, but I don't think getting back to where I was should be too difficult, and from there getting even better. So
do you think that we're going to be seeing a lot more play with weeklies and big tournaments, or do you think a lot of people are playing net play? Do you play net play?
I net play all the time, and I think it's the best and worst thing to ever happen to the game, just because it makes people care less about actually coming out to these kinds of tournaments. So I do feel tournament attendance around here decreased, especially last year. Just partially, I would imagine due to net play, because now the question's always in my mind: do I go to a local or do I stay? Do I just grind on net play? And so while it makes playing the game versus great players so accessible, it's like a double-edged sword. I think it was inevitable though, so it's not in our best it's in our best interests to disregard its downsides and just continue going down this path. Net play exists now. That's just the thing.
What are some of your favorite things about going to these events?
It's mostly just seeing people. I mean, today, this is my first tournament within Tri-State in quite a while, and I don't know, it's been a while for me, so I just forgot how enjoyable it is to see all these friends I've made over the years through the game. I played this game for almost 13 years now, so I mean it's a large part. It's a pretty large part of my life. Most of my social life consists of people who come from this game. So it's nice for us to be able to all get together and play the game that brought us all together in the first place.
Do you find yourself even in your normal life, hanging out or socializing with people that you've met through the community?
Yeah, no, all the time. It's my social life basically consists of a ton of people who I met through this game, and then my squad who I went to school with. That's basically it's either one or the other. So I mean, I think that's the case for anyone who gets really invested into this game, just because the process of getting good at it takes a lot of time. It's a very unforgiving job, honestly. This is a difficult game, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it in the end, despite how challenging that grind can be. But by the end of it all, I find that most of the people that you associate yourself with also play this game. One thing Melee has over like any other game is that you'll meet like some of the most genuine people that you'll ever find in your life, and I think that actually has a lot to do with the fact that netplay only came into existence recently, because something about the people from like Melee is kind of just like the melting pot of all video gaming or card game communities that I've ever been a part of. Melee, it just brings really interesting people together, and I feel like when you're stuck playing a game where you have to play it behind your computer screen for all your life, not to like stereotype, but I just feel like these kinds of people who are willing to come out to like events like this tend to be able to teach you a lot.
You've been in the game for a long time, but somebody who's up and coming or like a new player, what advice would you have for them?
So I think the area where most up-and-coming players suffer is they don't realize that mental game is equally, if not more important than the actual game. And I think this goes for just about anything. You have to focus on staying motivated, knowing how to improve, not just like grinding mindlessly, but actually like focusing on your weaknesses and asking yourself the important questions, like where could I be doing something better? And only then, like only once you've got a good grasp over these concepts, only then should you go out and actually like grind the game, because otherwise you can play for just as long as I have and witness no success at all. It really depends on what you're looking for. Obviously, like I wanted to be a top pro and I became one back when I was one, back before I injured myself. But if you're aspiring to be a strong player, then that's my advice to you.
Thanks for sitting down with us and taking the time, Hax. It was good to see you again. I mean, I know it's been a long time, but thanks a lot.